Hi guys, it's Heather Joy with Perfectly Curated Life. Thank you for joining me. Today is Sunday, April 11th, and it is the 140th anniversary of Spelman College. So to start things off, I just want to give a shout out to all of my Spelman sisters, those who follow me on Facebook and on social media, and those all around the world who are doing amazing things and making sure that our proud, gorgeous, wonderful alma mater remains undaunted. So shouts out to Spelman. All right, so today and for the next couple of segments, I really want to focus on salads. And I want to focus on two things. All about that base, which is how are you making your salads? What are you making your salads from? What is the base of your salads? Very often we tend to think in terms of just having lettuce as the base, but I want to start to expand our thinking beyond that and really look for some cool and inventive ways to add different vegetables and grains to your salad base to give you something that's a little bit more substantial. The second part is let's go nuts. And that is where we're going to focus on how to incorporate nuts into your salad to make it more filling and to give it some textural interest as well. Nuts can be a great alternative for people who are meat-free or even those who are eating meat like I do but want to have a more plant-focused vegetable. So we're going to look at those two things. So to start out with, let's talk about what we can use to put in our salads beyond just regular romaine or iceberg lettuce to kind of punch things up. So I've prepared a lot of different things here today. I have some sliced radishes and your standard bell peppers, and I like these because they're nice and colorful, and color is important in building out a salad too. I have some sugar snap peas, and one thing I want to say about vegetables that you might have a hard time eating raw, like I don't love to eat raw broccoli, if you microwave it for about a minute just to take off a little bit of the edge of the rawness and then let it cool, it, number one, doesn't get that ashy texture and look that raw vegetables sometimes have, and it's a little bit easier to digest. So that is an insider's tip on how to incorporate vegetables that are almost raw but not fully raw into your salad. Just microwave them. It's even better if you microwave them in plastic or with a covering over it so that that steam has a chance to really plump them up, and then take it out and cool them before you add them to your salad. I have, of course, because it's springtime, some nice fresh peas, which pair beautifully with mint. And then one of my favorite salad bases is actually Brussels sprouts. So these are chopped Brussels sprouts. With this kind of green or with kale or any of the roughage that's more tough, you should massage it with either salt or a little bit of oil, and then really rub that salt or oil into the greens before you put them in the salad. Otherwise, the greens can be hard to digest, and they can also be kind of hard to chew. But Brussels sprouts are wonderful. They hold up all day long. Even if you put salad dressing on them, they will not wilt. So if you're making a salad in the morning that you want to eat for lunch, this is what you need. Brussels sprouts will stand the test of time, and they are not bitter at all. They kind of taste like I would say maybe pretty mild cabbage in their raw form. A lot of times people are like, oh, Brussels sprouts, don't you have to cook those? But no, you actually do not. They can be wonderful in salads. What else do we have here? Of course, a good old standby, some just straight up boiled eggs. And I realized recently, about a year ago, that I had been making boiled eggs wrong my entire life. They never looked quite right. They always had that kind of like light green rim around the yolk when I finished, and that was because I was cooking them too much. So what I do now, what I've learned through trial and error, is to put the eggs into some plain water, have about 2 inches of water covering the eggs, bring it to a boil, and then turn it off. And then depending on how well done you want the egg, you will leave it in for 8, 10, 12 minutes. I like my eggs to be cooked completely through. I don't like the jammy center unless it's like in ramen. So for me, I leave it in the water for 12 minutes. After it starts to boil, I'll turn off the water, cover it with the lid, leave it in there, and then immediately after those 12 minutes elapse, I put them into an ice bath. I also add a little bit of baking powder or baking soda rather, to the water when it's boiling, and that really helps the membrane to separate from the egg so that when you're peeling it, you get a smooth peel and you're not taking out chunks of the white when you're peeling it. So that's my method for getting a perfectly boiled egg every time, that is nice and bright and the yolk looks perfect and it doesn't have that weird kind of greenish rim around it. Okay. I also have here, let's see this one first. So some eggplant, and I know eggplant can be a hotly contested ingredient. People are either like really pro or really against. What I have learned is that beyond salting the eggplant, which is one way to kind of take out the moisture and some of the bitterness that the eggplant can sometimes have, is if you marinate it in milk for about half an hour before you cook it. It will be nice and creamy in the middle when you cook it, and it won't have any bitterness at all. So I made these in the stove. I just added some salt and pepper and olive oil after I marinated it in milk for half an hour, and that's what we have here. And then I also have some sweet potatoes and some jalapeno peppers that I put into the broiler for some texture, so they're nice and crispy. And then I have some whole okra, which again I put under the broiler with just salt, pepper, and oil. And now some of the bases. So give me just a second. We have some red cabbage, and I did cut this cabbage and add a bit of salt, massage that salt in, and not a lot of salt. You don't want this to taste salty, but the salt helps to break down some of the toughness and the more sturdy rough edges. So we have our red cabbage there. I am not opposed to regular lettuce, so we have some of that too. I love lettuce, especially if you're going to serve the salad immediately. It is lovely. But the problem with lettuce is that sometimes over the course of the day, it will wilt. So you have to be careful if you're going to use this kind of soft, either butter lettuce or Bibb lettuce or spring lettuce as your base, because it does have the drawback that it will wilt. And then lastly, I have some carrots and cucumbers that I shaved, and I just took the regular microplane, peeler and shaved them down, and then I put them into a bath of ice water, and that really helps them to firm up and to have a nice shape. And so that's what you see here, and this can be used as a base in place of your leafy greens. Now, what we're going to focus on today is making our first nut combination. So I'm going to use red pepper flakes, fresh parsley. I have a mix of curly parsley and Italian flat leaf parsley and almonds. And we're going to put those on the salad at the very end, and that helps to really amplify the flavor and to make it more interesting to taste and to look at. Additionally, having a bit of fat in your salad will help you remain sated after you eat the salad. One of the biggest complaints is that, I eat salad and an hour later I'm hungry again. Well, if you have some fat and some protein, that won't be the case. But if you're just eating vegetables without any fat or protein, yeah, you probably will be hungry again. So I'm going to just turn up here and put this cast iron skillet on. I went to this antiques market with my mom yesterday, and I met this couple who specializes in cast iron skillets. Like, that's all they do all day and night is find, refurbish, and sell cast iron skillets. And just to give you a sense of where they are in terms of their business, some of their cast iron skillets, like the kind your grandma has, are like $800. And I was like, who's paying $800 for a cast iron skillet? But apparently there's a market out there for these very, very high-end cast iron skillets. But I got to talking to the husband of the couple, and I explained to him that my seasoning of my pans sometimes a little bit hit and miss. There are times when I season it and it seems like the seasoning lasts for a long time, and there are times when I season my pans and it seems like I have to do it repeatedly before I see the results. And he was like, well, of course, I season my pans 15 times each before I use them. Now, I had maybe tapped out at seasoning them 3 times, right? So seasoning is when you put the oil on, you heat the pan up, you let the pan cool down, and then you wipe the oil out. And that helps to give your cast iron kind of like a non-stick finish. And I thought that I was really doing something by doing it 3 times. And this man who's selling these $800 cast iron skillets told me that no, he 10 to 15 times minimum before he starts to see the kind of patina and the kind of smoothness in the cast iron skillet that allows it to really be non-stick. So I have some work to do. But anyway, we want first to heat up our pan and take a little bit of butter. I have about 1.5 teaspoons of butter here that I'm going to put in. And I chopped up the almonds because they're going to be easier to eat that way. And yeah, that's the main reason. You don't really want like a whole almond in your salad. You want it kind of chopped down. So as you can see that those are pretty well chopped, but not slivered or anything. And we're just gonna wait for that butter to melt and then put the almonds in and let those cook for a couple minutes before we add in the other items, which are the pepper flakes and the parsley. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. You would also want to have some nice salt. If you have like salt flakes, that's great. If you have some kosher sea salt, that's perfect too. But you want to use your better salts for this because you're actually going to be using this as a condiment kind of, and not just to flavor. So the appearance of the salt is important. So the other thing that has been heavy on my mind, of course, I'm sure is like many of you, is the death of Earl DMX Simmons a couple of days ago, which just, I guess it didn't really catch me off guard because, I mean, he'd had that heart attack and it looks like things were not going up and positive in his health. But, you know, he was only 50 years old. He's someone who's been kind of in the soundtrack of my life. I think I was in college at the point in time when he really became a star. And so I'm not like the world's biggest DMX fan, but there are a lot of DMX songs that I liked. And I think more important for me, just as a person, seeing how he struggled and really tried to like conquer the things that were vexing him and deal with the demons that he had from a really rough childhood. Made me have a lot of respect for him as a man and as a human being. And to see that he finally succumbed to the things that had troubled him, it was sad. And I've been thinking about him constantly because I feel like he almost just never had a fair chance in life. I mean, we all make mistakes, right? But some of us have foundations where if we made a mistake, it's probably on us. But there are some things that happened to him during his childhood that I think impaired him and really diminished his chances of being able to grow into productive adulthood. And you saw him vacillating between good actions and bad actions almost his whole career. Okay, so I'm going to add in here now about a half teaspoon, a little more than a half teaspoon of the hot pepper flakes. You might want yours a little bit spicier, so pump that up a little bit if you like. I started out with a 1/4 cup of almonds, and I'm just adding in the red pepper flakes. I'm going to put in now some salt, a pinch or two of salt. I'm actually going to turn this off. So we have, because the nuts will burn, and that's not what we're going for here. And then lastly, I'm going to take my parsley that you see here, and just adding a little bit of that parsley. And I'm looking for this to kind of wilt, not to really cook. So it has been amazing to see all of my Spelman sisters posting their, kind of throwback pictures, and all the shouts out to our wonderful school, and just to see the overall rise and recognition of the fly stuff that HBCU grads have been doing all along, that they're just now starting to get some shine for. I mean, we know that Vice President Harris is an alumna of Howard University and our nation's capital, which was founded in 1867, as was Spelman's brother school, Morehouse College, which is a men's college that has given us Dr. Martin Luther King and Spike Lee. And, I see Tiffany Cross on MSNBC every weekend, and she went to Clark Atlanta University, which is another institution in the Atlanta University Center. We share with Spelman and Morehouse and Morris Brown. So it's just good to see people out there doing their thing, and then also to see our schools really getting some much deserved recognition for all of the contributions that they have made, even when, the money wasn't right, the chips were stacked against us, and we just continued to persevere. Hold on. So, been handling this, it gets hot, so I needed my So this is what we have. Can y'all see that? Yeah. So we're going to take this, let this cool down a bit because we don't want to wilt the greens or anything else in the salad. And it's not important that these nuts are hot. I'm just gonna set that aside for a minute. And let's see, what do we want to put on the salad? I like my salad in a bowl. I know that might be odd to people. Some people like it on a plate. I just like eating out of a bowl better. It feels more homey, like you can kind of hug it. Let's start with a little bit of this red cabbage, a handful of that. And then I'm going to put in some of my cucumbers and carrots, just like around the rim. I think the visual balance is nice. And we're gonna talk later on this week more about composed salads as compared to tossed salads. I've noticed in the places I've lived around the world, like Americans more than most other people tend to really prefer salads where everything is tossed together. And at a lot of the salad restaurants that are popular now, like the sort of fast casual restaurants, they put the salad in this massive bowl and they shake it all together and you get this, tossed salad with meats or vegetables and cheeses and whatever. But in a lot of other parts of the world, they have what are called composed salads, where each individual salad topping is separate and it's served atop the bed of lettuce or whatever the base is. And while it doesn't make much of a difference in terms of the taste because all the same ingredients are there, to me, composed salads generally tend to look a little bit prettier. So this is not entirely composed because you need like a bigger bowl, but we're going kind of for a little salad composé look here. All right, so move that. And then with this, you could always add in some protein, in the flesh protein. So you could add in a piece of chicken or fish. I'm not going to do that today, but if you're looking for something that makes it a little bit more substantial, you would do that. So I'm adding in now my eggplant. And we're gonna hook this up with some of these chilies and sweet potato bits. Why don't we do some okra? And this is really crispy okra, so it's not slimy at all. And these are baby pods. They're not like the big jumbo pods, so there wasn't a whole lot of slime in them to start with. One of the things I hated about okra as a kid was just that texture that you get. So not so much the taste, but that slimy texture can be very off-putting to me. And if you fry it, you find your way around it, but you can also get the same effect as frying it in the oven if you have it hot enough. So I cooked these on 425 for about 20 minutes to get that nice crispness. And I did add some oil to them while I was cooking them. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of our sweet potatoes. And now I think we're ready for our nuts. So another thing that I want to walk through this week as we're looking at how to put together like an extra good summertime or springtime salad is dressing. So we're gonna make some dressings, but dressings help balance, all right? If you have everything in your salad that's crispy, you probably wanna bring in a dressing that's a little bit creamy to help balance out those flavors and textures. If you have a salad that's kind of soft, so you have some, softer apples or other fruits in your salad and a soft Bibb lettuce, and you want to bring in a dressing that has a little bit of zip in it. So it's a balancing game. But this is what we have so far with our salad. All right, so you see we have our nuts on top to give us some fat and some longevity to not being hungry again. So that's going to sate our taste buds, and then we've kind of built up the base and the flavors. So that is it for now. Let me see if I have any comments or questions. Hey, y'all. Oh, look at my Spelman sisters. Got my roomie, Jacqueline Nickelberry, and my classmate and friend, Carolyn. Hi, Janine. Hi, Sharon. Oh, Spelman is in the house. Hi, Imani. Hi, Brian. I'm just trying to see if we have any questions. Thank you. Very pretty, says Jacqueline. Thank you kindly. So I will be back probably tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. Tomorrow's a little hectic at work. And we will be building up some salad dressings and then looking also at some other really nice flavor combinations. Some people enjoy having like limitless choice and having sort of a smorgasbord or salad bar in their house to pick from. Others like, I need these 3 things to put in this salad to make it look this way. So for those folks in the latter group, I'm going to have a couple of recipes that you can do every single time, and it's going to give you a beautiful result. For those of you that like a little bit more flexibility, I will tell you how to swap in and out ingredients that will give you an equally lovely salad, but with the things that you have on hand in your home. So thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a pleasure. Yay, Spellman, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.